All right, let's take a look at where we left off last time. So we have our car here. I can drive around. What's really neat, and let's take this off play maximized for a moment to play focused, is on our taxi cab here, we can adjust the speed. We can make it like a 2 if you want to give them like a nice leisurely drive in your game to pick people up. Things like that. We talked a little bit about collision, right? And we talked about tags and all that good stuff. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a side-by-side and I'm going to open up my scripts. All right, so what I'd like to do is instead of having a taxi collision here, this is going to be our taxi pickup script. So I'm going to hit Control RR, or you can right click and do, I think it's refactor, rename, and then rename it taxi pickup. And so this script is going to handle picking up our people here, like this little guy here. And what it's going to do is we're going to be using collisions and different kinds of collisions to control when we collide with objects or when we pick up individuals like this guy here. All right, so what I want to do is this guy right here is our passenger. So I'm going to tag anybody who's a passenger by creating a tag here. I'm going to hit plus and I'm just going to make it passenger and I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to select this little guy here and I'm going to change it from untagged to passenger. I'm also going to add a component, and this component is just going to be a box collider 2D. And then you always want to check the shape of your box collider. You can see there's these little handles that it's there. I also want to mark it as a trigger. And what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to say, let's go ahead and just above this print statement, I'll move it up. If, and I'm going to hit tab twice to let it populate that for me. If the game object, or here, if other dot game object dot tag is the same as passenger, then I'm going to move this print statement up. I'm going to tab this in, and we really should be using debug.logs, but print is fine for now. You hit a passenger. Let's save that. So let's see. And just to kind of show you, I'm going to actually duplicate this beard guy here. And I'm going to hit W and move him over here. And I'm going to leave that trigger on, but I'm going to make him untagged. So watch what happens here when I press play. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-Shift-C to open up my console. Now, if I drive through this guy, notice that there isn't a passenger. But here, we hit a passenger. Let's go back around. And we hit the passenger again. That's 3 times. Let's uncollapse that. And it seems like every time we hit something, let's comment that out and hit save. And then let's try this again. Let it reload. So I hit the passenger. This guy doesn't do anything. So every time I hit this passenger. So let's go ahead and delete this other beard guy here. Not that one, but the copy. So now we've done a test and we are able to check if we hit something, right? The other here is what's storing. It's a variable that's storing all of our collisions that happen or our trigger collisions that happen. So we're saying if the other game object, and that certainly is a game object. Let me close this out for a second. The bearded guy is a game object, and the game object does have a tag, which is passenger here. We want to print this to the screen. Well, what are some things we'd like to do? Well, I'd probably like to hit the passenger with the car, but make it more like, later when we build out the mechanics of this, we can have it where the car freezes, but that might be the scope might be a little bit outside of this class, where the car freezes and the guy walks in. Later, maybe in future game development courses, you'll be able to either do it on your own or maybe we'll come back and revisit this. I kind of like to teach you new stuff each class with new games, so always save these projects. So anyway, so for now, what I want to do is let's lay out some game design notes here. I want the passenger to disappear and then the next thing I want to do is I need to let my player know they have a passenger. So let's save that out. And there's something else. Our initial storyline for our game is that we want to get this guy here. That's this house. This is where the house party is happening. So your goal is to pick up all of the people. So we have two so far. We have this character here, and then we have this little girl character. And I might actually just make this beard guy huge to really make him stand out when we're driving around. Same thing with this girl here. Make her really big. And she's also going to need the she's going to need a box collider 2D, and she's also going to need it marked as trigger. And the goal is to get them. So what I'm going to do is inside of this if statement here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm just going to hit Control D here. And then I'm going to change it from passenger to, let's see, house party. So let's go over here, and I'm going to double click this house party to copy that. And I'm going to right click in here under, let's see, collision objects. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a 2D object, and it's going to be a sprite, and it's going to be a square. And I'm going to do game object, move to view. Let's make this at, let's make sure Z is 0, so it's sitting right on top there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit 3 here. And I'm going to hit R. And maybe we'll have like some sort of like driveway here, or something that represents the house party so that they know where they're supposed to go. And then I'm going to add a box collider 2D, and I'm going to make that a trigger. And then under tagged here, I'm going to add a tag, and I'm going to hit plus, and I'm going to name this house party. And I'm going to hit save. So if we drive into here, that means that we dropped off a customer. So let's go, you got to the house party. So let's save that, and let's maximize this for a minute. And let's press play. So now I'm driving, and let's hit Control Shift C here. You hit a passenger, and later we'll change that to you picked up a passenger. And let's go this way. And honestly, I really want to move that camera out. It's too close. And looks like, let's see. We have it as trigger. Oh, we don't have it tagged as house party. Let's see. Yeah, you got to the house party. Okay. So let's uncheck play. And what you'll notice is the tag changed back. So anything that happens, you need to, anything that happens when you're hitting play mode, it doesn't save your changes. That's why it snapped back to untagged. So we have to make sure that we uncheck play and we put house party here. I'm also going to rename this to house party collision here. And let's go ahead and select our camera and just kind of zoom out a little bit more. And let's press play here. And we could, you know, like I said, later we'll code, you know, this map, how it goes off screen or something. So you could see you hit a passenger. Let's see if we get this girl. You hit a passenger. I don't think she's tagged. And then we drive around. We're looking for the house party. You got to the house party. And let's go ahead and make sure that the little girl here is also tagged as passenger. All right, so what we're going to do is, I think this is good for this one. We reviewed tags and if statements. What I think we'll do in the next essentially lesson is we'll start to look at how we start looking at systems balancing for games, as well as kind of just like with systems balancing and game delivery. What that entails is you have a set of states or logical states that you could sometimes use a Boolean for and other things. But what it is, for example, like this image should only appear once we pick up a passenger, right? Like if I drive over to this house here, like we need to, like they should know, like if I'm driving around and I go to this house, the gate is closed. But once I get a passenger, this gate is open. So let's say that this is a gate. So I'm going to do a gate here or something. And this gate is blocking the driveway to the party. And the only way I can get past this gate, or that this gate appears, is when I have this guy. So something like that. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll take a look at that in the next tutorial.